What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR. First off, before I get into my kind of game review, I'd just like to apologize that I had to do it in this style instead of my usual style. The problem is the laptop I was using just died. It's completely dead, so I have to use my computer, use a PC downstairs, but it doesn't have all the necessary editing software that I would usually use for my game reviews, and all the video and footage that I had done for my original game review for this was like completely gone now, so I just have to start from scratch. So I decided to just do a quick little video just giving my quick thoughts on what I thought on the story, gameplay, and just kind of what problems I have with the game. So for starters, in terms of story, I actually did find the story to Resident Evil 6 a lot more interesting than I did in 5, simply because you get to see this kind of threat done on many different fronts, and it's not like done in a typical Resident Evil or how it was in 5, how you start off like in a city and then you find your, I mean, it's kind of how it was done in 4, but 4 was done with a much more horror survival aspect, as for 5 was kind of done straight up action, which I found a little disappointing. But the way that this is done, it's done on like several different versions of kind of the same concept, and I thought that worked out very well. Leon's story basically is kind of, or I'd say the first chapter is kind of reminiscent of, say, Resident Evil 2, done in a Resident Evil 4 style with like a Resident Evil 5 co-op concept, and I thought that worked really well. Jake's story was quite, it basically is your typical get from point A to point B storyline, and they keep getting delayed and they keep running into this boss, which I'm not going to mention, but he is I think he would definitely give Nemesis a run for his money. Chris's story was definitely the least interesting one, because it's kind of a typical revenge story, because the whole idea behind Chris's like journey is that he wants to kill Ada Wong for wiping out his team, but when you get to that point where he finally gets a chance to do it, he doesn't, and then he kind of just goes on his merry little way, and he doesn't think much of it. And yet this is like the one thing that's been driving him nuts to become like just basically the village drunk for 6 months and turn him into a complete shithole. Sorry. And Ada's is kind of okay. I mean, she's just trying to figure out who's stolen her identity and take on kind of the same thing that Leon and Helena are doing. So in terms of story, they're not very strong on their own, but the fact that they all kind of intercepted points and they all are kind of told different ways and it's all done at once, I definitely thought was a good idea. In terms of gameplay, I didn't have a problem with the gameplay. If you've played Resident Evil 5 and 4, it's the same thing, but at a cover-based system to it, with the ability to run and move. Not exactly like run and shoot like how it's done in Dead Space. I can actually just run and shoot, but I thought it was very fluently. I did like the ability to dodge, which, you know, is cool. You can like jump back and dodge, or you can dive and dodge, get closer to your enemies, dodge their attacks, or you can even move on the ground and be able to shoot. That was definitely a cool addition. A lot of people have been complaining that this game has too many quick time events, and although I think it does have too many quick time events, and I think that in terms of how they're used is a bit over the top, but I think that in a way it kind of is a test of your reflexes, because there are so many quick time events which will instantly kill you. Or like if you run up to like a zombie that's supposedly dead, it'll grab you, and if you don't react like quickly, you'll lose a lot of your life, and unless your partner's right there, it'll save you. So I definitely think the quick time events do kind of make it a little bit more challenging, but if you do it too much, as it is done in this one, it can get a lot really annoying. The bosses are definitely the most memorable thing. This game definitely has probably next to Resident Evil 4, the most memorable list of bosses. I mean, 5 had a good number of bosses and it did have Wesker, but this is what I'm going to remember it for. And it does feel a lot more cinematic, because we're definitely not into this whole survival horror thing as it was like in the first 3 games, and it kind of feels more like a Hollywood action movie. But the fact that I hadn't started playing those older games until I was already past 4 and 5 in these newer games, I'm kind of more warming up towards the more action version of Resident Evil than I did the survival horror aspect, although 4 is still my favorite game. And there were certain moments during the game that I definitely found interesting, like you get to, you know, you drive a motorcycle, you get to go on a snowmobile, you get to fly a Harrier and blow a whole carrier ship up, which I never thought I would ever see it in a Resident Evil game, and I welcomed it happily. So, if you're a fan of action movies, or you're a fan of like the last two Resident Evil games, I definitely suggest you buy this game and try it out. And I definitely think that the co-op AI in this game is definitely significantly smarter than it was in 5, because you don't have to take care of it as much. And it usually is there as support to you if you're playing solo, so it's very rare that you will ever die on your own unless you get like knocked down and then eaten alive like back to back, which rarely happen on any difficulty. So overall, I would definitely give Resident Evil 6 like, I don't know, I guess I'll be nice. I'll give it like a 7.8 out of 10. It's not quite up there to the point where I would say it's a great game, it's a good game, it's fun for co-op, and it's definitely better than 5, but it just doesn't quite have the atmospheric feel that 4 did. And I don't know, it just has a lot of elements that just didn't work. So again, I'm sorry that this review was done the way it had to be done. I'm really sorry. I promise you that when I get Assassin's Creed 3, which I believe is like 1 or 2 weeks away, it will be back to my usual style, and I'll definitely try to have it out within a day or two of its release, because I'm going to play that game non-stop. And if you liked this review or didn't like it, please like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep track of me and my future movie, game, and people's questions, reviews. And like always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.